Hello everybody, Mike Brailsford with Brailsford Woodworks. Thank you for joining me back on my channel today. I do appreciate it. Today I've got this piece of white oak. It's got some spalting in it. I actually cut it down 2 years ago, and you can see that it's got some fungus growing on it, so that's added to the spalting. That's one of the reasons I kind of left it, to let it change up a little bit. So this turning is going to be for beyond the beginner. It's going to entail using some tools that most beginners won't have. They might want to acquire them over years of turning, learn some of the basics for spindle turning and for bowl turning, and incorporate those into what we're going to do here. So I'll get this set up in the lathe in spindle orientation, and we will start with the steps required into creating a deep hollowed vase. So here we go. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my drive center in, and this is a cup center, and I'm going to, I guesstimate at the center, well this one's going to be near the pith since this is in spindle orientation, and drive it in. Alright, I got this chucked up, and first thing I am going to do is I am going to use my spindle roughing gouge, which I can do because I have it in spindle orientation, and I'm just going to get this thing round to start with and get it to a point where I could start shaping the vase the way I want. Alright, let's get this thing going. Keep the speed down to start. Get it started. Alright, so I've got it round. Now I'm going to start the shape of my vase, and this is going to be a very classical vase. This is going to be the base down here with the top up here, and I'm going to give it that thin on the bottom, hourglass shape on top, going to probably a small neck on the top as well. So let's get started with that. But let me say, this piece came straight out of the woods. So this piece is wet. It's very wet. So what I'm going to do, what this video is how to get a vase or a deep hollowed vessel deep hollowed. And the step that we will take after we get it deep hollowed is that this piece will be boiled. And I'm going to get it to the walls about 1 inch thick and boil it, and then I'll let it finish drying. Then in the later video I'll show you how to finish this piece. So let's continue on with the shaping. So I'm going to continue using my spindle roughing gouge and start just roughing it down to the general shape.
So when I start tapering a piece, which is what I'm doing with this, I start making small cuts on where the deepest part will be, and then I will continue to work out further and further and further, increasing the length of the cut. And then I'll repeat that over and over until I get what I need.
As you can see, I'm starting to taper down towards the bottom. It's the sapwood on here that's very spalted, and as you can see, I'm starting to get through down into the heartwood, which is not as spalted, but that's okay. It'll still have plenty of spalting on it when I finish. So stop frequently, take a look at your line, make sure you don't have any waves or bumps in it, and you can feel it, run your hands over it. I feel I have a little bit of a hump right here, so I'm gonna shape that down. And down here on this side is where I'm going to put my tenon for my chuck. I'm going to make sure I true up the bottom some, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to leave this big because it's going to have I'm going to use my large jaws on this one. Alright, my line's feeling pretty good. It's a little bit of a hump right here. It's almost done. Let me take just a tiny bit more. That's better. Alright, so I'm going to start shaping the neck. It's going to be a much more steep curve off, so I'm going to be hitting it more of a serious angle starting right up here on this top corner and working it, and then I'll continue to work. And after a while, I will probably get my 5/8 bowl gouge and finish up the shaping with that. Alright, I'm going to change up to my bowl gouge. My bowl gouge of choice is a robust Turner's Edge. I just love this gouge. It holds an edge better than any that I've had so far. And I'm just going to continue with them. I really like them. Alright, so I'm going to continue shaping this. And we'll get down to a general shape. Because, again, we're going to boil this, let it dry, and then we're going to come back, and when we do the final turning, we will get the shape on the outside to 100% where we want. Who knows, maybe we'll want to add some details on here or something, maybe a strip. Could be. Maybe I'll color it. I'll dye this one because sometimes the spalting looks outstanding if you dye it. And one thing that oak does do is it takes stain very, very well. So if you ever like to try stain, the wood I would suggest would be oak because it does take stain so well. So let's continue on. Alright, I'm going to take my 1.25" skew, and I'm going to use it as a scraper to just refine this outside line just a little bit. finish. I'm going to work on the neck a little bit, cut this in a little bit tighter, and bring it out. I want to leave it the width about where it is. I just want to cut down this cove a little bit more. How do we look? Pretty good. Found a little bug hole. It's alright. Once I boil it, if there's any bugs left in this, it won't be left after that. Alright, so I've got the general shape of the vase the way I want. I think I'm actually going to take down the taper down here a little bit more. Just make it a little bit more of a contrast from the bottom to the top. Alright, so this is not going to be a foot, but it is where I am going to put the tenon, and I'll end up parting it off right here. But I'm going to get my skew again and do the same thing on the bottom. Alright, that looks pretty darn good. Love the colors in this. I think this thing, I'm leaning more towards wanting to dye it. And yeah, I just love the way this is looking. It's got some beautiful figure in it too. Alright, let me get this tenon cut. First thing I'm going to do, use my Easy Wood Tools straight end and straighten out the bottom. So I've defined my tenon, but I am going to use my skew to make sure it has a dovetail on it. Alright, this will fit nicely into my chuck. And I'm going to use my Easy Wood Tools on the top to straighten it out as well. Alright, so this thing is shaped. We're going to take it off of the cup drive, take off my tool rest, mount my steady rest, put my tool rest back on, bring my tailstock back up, then mount this in the chuck. Bring up my tailstock to hold it in nice and centered the way it is right now, and then get my steady rest in place. And the steady rest will be out here. Steady rest is absolutely required if you're doing any deep hollowing. So, with that said, let's get it all set up.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take the vase off the lathe. And it's still quite heavy. Set it aside. And again, this is why I love my robust. It's one of the reasons, at any rate. Swing away. I also bought Robust's Steady Rest, and let me tell you, this thing is a beast. All right, it's nice and even. Let's move the Steady Rest in place. I like to do it at the apex of the curve. Requires a 3/4 inch wrench to tighten it up. And they gave me the appropriate Allen wrench. Bring it up, wheel up, bottom one till it's touching. Then I go to this one till it's touching, snug it. And then I do the top one last and let gravity do its thing. And then snug it. Test it. Very good.
So when you're using your Forstner bit to drill out, make sure you're backing it out frequently to clear out the chips and the dust. Otherwise, it will bind up on you, and getting it out is very problematic. I know this from personal experience. So let's continue drilling. All right, now we can get to working with hollowing tools. I'm going to put my tool rest back on here, and we're going to start with probably the straight easy wood tools. And this is one of the areas where I will always defer to the carbide tools. When it comes to hollowing, it's far more effective than traditional tools, and I will stand by that. I love traditional tools for everything on the outside, making bowls, but when it comes to hollow forms, carbide is what you need. So normally I would pull the whole thing towards and work from the end of the lathe, but since I'm going to be putting on my deep hollowing tool, I need the bed space to do that. So I'm going to leave it where it is and just get started. Let's start by opening the neck hole just a little bit. So my round edge, start getting it as deep as I can. I can go up to this mark here for overhang. Time to bring out the gooseneck. Just got to come back a little bit. I'm starting with this one. Okay, another piece of necessary kit for this is a double-ended caliper. Check it frequently. Again, we want to only go to about 1 inch thick, and I've got, a long way to go here, but just check and see, give us a starting point.
Alright. Well, I do believe that I'm gonna mount up the deep hollowing tool.
Okay, so I now have it all set up. I'm not going to go through all that because it's rather an elaborate setup, and depending on which system you get, they'll be different. And I have the Clark deep hollowing system. I found it. I do like the way it comes together and the way it works. But I'm going to start hollowing, And let me move this in. You notice I have a laser here, and the laser is set to be 1 inch off the tip. So it's on the outside of the tip by about an inch, maybe a little bit more. And as that laser falls off the outside edge, then I know that I am at 1 inch wall thickness. And so right now I'm going to work on this, and let's get going on it. Right, so I've got this thing to a fairly uniform 1 inch thickness. So let's now take it off the lathe. I'm going to put it into a barrel of water tonight, and I will probably try to boil it sometime after Christmas. But it's got to stay wet or else it will crack. So let me take it off the lathe now. Alright, so that's what we got for today. I'm going to put like I said, I'm going to get this in a barrel of water. You'll see this again when it's time to do the finish hollowing and the finish on the outside of this. So when I get this back on the lathe, the first thing that I'll do is finish hollowing it to its final dimension. Then I will finish the outside, because I can put a cone center in here and hold it steady with a tailstock. And finish the outside. Like I said, I'm looking at this. The more I look at it, the more I think I'd like to dye it, honestly. And I think it'll come out pretty outstanding. All right, so that's it. Please, if you think you've gotten anything out of this, click like and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. And leave me comments. Tell me what you think. Do you like the way I do my hollowing? Do you not? I'll enter in a debate if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll answer every comment. Also, if this will come in after Christmas, so I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and or your holiday of choice. And you all please take care and have a good day. Bye bye.